You guys asked the questions. Don't blame me for the answers.
You're listening to Unbound Off Script. No outlines, no safety nets, just Beth Curry talking about whatever the hell she wants, or whatever the hell you've asked her to uncover. It's unfiltered, it's unpredictable, and it's officially started. Pull up a chair.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unbound Off Script. I'm Beth Curry, and today is long overdue. At least that's what Kai told me. I've been looking at the inbox and it's overflowing. It's been a while since we just sat down and did a proper Q&A, and honestly, with everything going on lately, I think I need this as much as you guys do. So I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes or so just kind of diving into the stuff that you've been asking about, the personal, the weird, and the where the hell is that accent mysteries. No polish today, just us. Okay? So I'm going to start with the question that's been coming in the most, and I love that, and it's about my mom. A lot of you have been following along with her journey. Listened to season 1, where I read the book, All These Beautiful Things, and shared her story, and I appreciate the love more than I can say. Honestly, though, it's been a bit of a roller coaster this year. Back in January and February, her facility went into a long lockdown. I was just spiraling. I was worried, that I wouldn't get a chance to see her before I headed to Vegas in February. But literally the weekend before we left, they opened up for visitors again. So that was good. She wasn't sick at all during any of that, thank God. But leading up to that, she had been in one of her bad states for several visits. Those visits where you're kind of sitting there, but you feel like the person is miles away. It was a lot like that. But when I got back from my trip, we had a couple of really good lucid visits with her. Those are the days you live for, where she's really there, and it just feels like it used to be, when you were visiting her at her house, and the connection is like crystal clear. But like with everything in this stage of life, it's not a straight line, and lately she's kind of started declining again. The hardest part, though, I think, the part that really breaks my heart is the loneliness. She's always been such a social creature, and she can't connect with people very well at Willow Grove. She's always been someone who thrives on companionship and just being around the energy of others, but she calls a lot during the week now. And she's just so lonely. She says that she begs me to come see her, and it's so hard because getting out there during the work week is a struggle. And I want to do everything for her, and I would. You want to be everything for someone you're caring for in this way, but you're also trying to keep your own head above water. But hearing her voice on the phone like that, it's heavy. I know many of you are in this kind of sandwich generation reality too, navigating that guilt of not being able to be in two places at once. And it's exhausting, isn't it? I don't know. I just wanted to be honest about where we're at with that. So I have this question from Shannon, and it's one that I actually have had from a few different people. Shannon wants to know if Nate's Australian, why the hell doesn't he have an accent? And Shannon, I feel you. I really do. You have to understand, Nate and I have been friends for 65 years. And, we've worked together. We've done these projects. We talk constantly. I'm not even kidding. It was many, many years into our friendship and relationship before I stopped mid-sentence and looked at him and finally just said, wait a second, where's your fucking accent? I think I just got so used to his voice that I stopped hearing the lack of it. He's lived in North America for so long that he's developed this very neutral, local sounding vibe. I mean, it trends a little bit, I want to say Southern, but no. It's unique, whatever it is. I don't know. You've probably heard it. You've listened to the podcast. He's been on the show before. And it's something that I have noticed though after like all through these years, 83 years later. It's like the accent is still there. It's like just hiding in the basement of his brain or something. So like whenever he gets really passionate about a subject, or if he gets a bit heated or lit up about something that we're discussing, I start to see these little glimpses of it, a vowel will shift or a mate might slip out, and, suddenly this Australian starts peeking through the curtains. I honestly have no idea why that actually happens. I don't know if it's a comfort thing. I want to get to the bottom of it though. Actually, you know what? Let's try and give him a call here. Let me just get my phone. We're gonna see if he's home. Hopefully I'm gonna hold this up to my mic and hopefully this will come through. Sorry, bear with me here. Okay, we're gonna see. Hopefully he answers. I know he's up because he's already texted me today. Come on. Crap. This whole segment's gonna get edited. Answer. Holy crap. Oh man.
Hello, Bethany.
Hey, I was just did I get you at a bad time or we get to have a call
No, I was just wiping my hands off. What's up?
Okay, so I have you on the podcast here. I have a question. I'm doing Q&A and I have a question from Shannon and she wants to know, since you were born in Australia, why you don't have an Australian accent anymore.
Shannon, what do you mean I don't have an Australian accent?
Yeah, like what is that? Like
It's essentially social mimicry, right? Like
okay.
your brain subconsciously mirrors the people around you to help you fit in and communicate more efficiently. So
Okay.
over time, these new speech patterns become your autopilot mode.
Okay, that makes sense. So, like, what about when you get like super animated or excited about a subject that you're talking about? You know, I sometimes hear it like just pop back in, and I'm just
Yeah, so when you get excited or emotional, your brain focuses entirely on the meaning of your words rather
okay.
than how you're saying them.
Yeah. Okay.
This high energy forces you back into your oldest, most deeply rooted habits, causing your original accent to slip out. Make
Interesting.
sense?
Yeah, it does. Thanks. I guess that's all I needed. I appreciate your help.
Glad I could help.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Did you guys catch that right at the start? When he picked up, he said he was wiping his hands off. I didn't even think to ask him what he meant when he said that, but now that he's gone, I'm sitting here wondering exactly where I just caught him. I don't know. With Nate, it's a total toss up, right? Was he in the kitchen whipping up something yum? He's a great cook, by the way. Um, was he out in the stable? Was he tending to his crops? Or I don't know. Was he literally elbow deep in some sort of trauma? I don't know. I've realized over the years that I'm just wiping my hands off is a very loaded sentence when it comes to that guy. Could be flour, could be dirt, could be something much darker. Save that for a different episode. Either way, Shannon, I hope that settles the mystery for you. The accent is alive and well. You just have to get him lit up about something. Or maybe catch him in the middle of a project that requires a towel. Moving on. Next question is from Sean, who's checking in on Crue. My boy. He's doing quite well, all things considered. It's been a busy season for him. He actually recently just sent in another self-tape, and actually, this was a highlight. He and I were both cast as extras for an upcoming movie recently, but get this, we ended up getting speaking parts. So that was different, kind of unexpected. He loved it. It's the film industry, right? But who knows if we'll actually make the final cut? But like I said, he loved the experience. In that business, it's so often about who you know rather than what you know. Actually, probably in any business, and he's definitely continuing to reap the rewards of these connections that his mother has. He's been having a blast, traveling with me. He's actually planning a solo trip for this summer, and I have to be honest, that's going to be very strange for me. A first, I've had a lot of firsts, obviously, over the last 20 years, but this. And I have to mention this because, I'm not being political at all, but just because it's hilarious, in my opinion. He's actually getting a lot of traction for his Donald Trump impersonation. People in California loved it. Like he's getting traction. So he decided, to get himself set up on Cameo. And that's moving forward well. So if any of you want to troll a friend or just have some fun, he's your guy. It's all in good humor, It's not really political. He mocks both sides of the aisle. And I'm just going to bring him in. Hey, Crue.
Hello.
So before I get you to do this impersonation for me, I do have to say that you have to actually see the whole thing because he totally has the mannerisms, the facial expressions, everything down to a T. But you're just going to get the sound for this because you're not a subscriber. Okay, Crue, give me an impersonation of Trump.
All right. I have to tell you, I'm looking at this podcast, Unbound, and it's a total success. It's huge. Everyone is talking about it, and the host, my mother, a very beautiful woman, a terrific person, frankly, one of the best. She's doing a fantastic job, maybe the greatest job in the history of podcasts, and she's doing it all for you. It's very impressive, believe me.
Thank you, Crue.
No problem.
See you later. Between that and his regular paycheck from Epic Games, he's staying busy, but no matter how much work he has on the go, he still makes sure to visit his Nana. I love that. He's funny as hell. She thinks he's funny. I'm really proud of the path that he's carving out. So I'm going to pivot into something random. Because Misty noticed something on my socials. She saw back earlier in March, I had posted a picture of action that was happening in my garden, and I was noticing it as the big snowstorm from January that we had was finally kind of melted away. I had some shit coming up in my garden, and I am constantly checking the dirt out there like it's my job. So she just had a question what was going on, what my plans are. Most people know that I do not have a green thumb. I've not been a huge garden person. I love looking at them and smelling them and seeing them and sitting in them, but trying it myself, kind of weird. But the year my dad died, I started planting things and playing around with things, and it turned out to be actually very cathartic and healing for me. Last year was big for us. We did that major backyard renovation at the office space, and that's where my heart is going to be again this year. I'm still seeing the results of all that work. I've got the allium, the tulips, the daffodils popping up. Rose bushes are holding their own, If you know me, I'm obsessed with wildflowers. I always have been. I've got a massive section dedicated to the wildflowers. This year, there will be hollyhocks, morning glories again. I've had those the last couple of years. And also new this year, hopefully, is the Serenade Japanese anemone. Anemone. I've also got these giant hyacinths that just like take over the space. So looking forward to seeing what happens with all of those this year. This year, I've started the newbies indoors before they hit the real world. On the go right now, I've got Silver Cup Lavitera. I'm doing Scarlet Runner beans again, specifically for the bees. They love those beans and flowers last year and the year before. I've also got chamomile, however you pronounce it. Let's ask Nate how he says it. Lavender and sweet pea on the go. I have alyssum, a few different kinds. And something new to me this year is abrasia in those deep reds and purples. I'm even trying my hand at some indoor lemon trees from seeds I got my hands on from Hawaii. Let's be real, though. Those poor things would take one look at winter here and give up immediately. So they're staying inside. Along with those, I've got spaghetti squash and sugar baby watermelons and radishes and beefsteak tomatoes and some hot peppers all ready to go. Since my parents died, I have had my hands all up in the Kalanchoe project. I rescued this plant from my parents' place. It was dead as dead. I mean, it looked like a lost cause. There was like no hope, but something about it just told me to give it a chance, and I managed to nurse it back, and I've turned that one plant into 13 separate plants. And this past year, 2 of them actually bloomed for me for the first time, which felt like a massive win. Of course, in typical Beth fashion, I can successfully resurrect a dead plant into an army of 13, but as I said on a previous episode, I still managed to kill a cactus. I don't know what it is. I can handle the temperamental stuff, but give me something that's supposed to survive a desert with no help, and I'll find a way to take it out. Guaranteed. Next up, this is Mark's question, and it's based on a previous episode called The Soundtrack of Us. Mark knows I have a very diverse and, let's be honest, very specific taste in music, and he sent over a list that really made me think. So, kind of a rapid fire. Hopefully I'll be able to come up with my answers. without wasting too much time. So, first question he asked, what's your all-time favorite song? So, this is easy, without a doubt. It's Into the Mystic by Van Morrison. There's a time when I thought I wanted a funeral, and that was the song I wanted played. I've moved past the funeral idea now, but the song stays. It's still the best ever written, in my opinion. Next question, what's the saddest song you know? I'm sure I have a different answer for this than what I'm just going to throw at you right now, but in this moment, I can think of Shannon by Henry Gross. Gross? I don't know how to say his name. Henry Gross. Once I found out that song was actually about a dog, that was it for me. I can't hear it without getting hit right in the heart. Yeah, sad. Hate it. I hate it. What song instantly puts you in a good mood? And for that one, recent car experience. I'm going to say Wham Bam by Silver. Wham Bam, Shangela. You know that one? Anyone? 1976? Anyone? Bueller? It's a total thing between Crue and me. The second it starts, the energy shifts. I'm not going to get into it, but it's a good one. So, yeah. Next question, what's a song you loved as a teenager? Oh, Didn't I? I think it's called Didn't I? Or Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time by the Delphonics. I want to say it was late 60s, perhaps. Now, I will admit New Kids on the Block did a remake, and that's actually how I first heard it as a teen. But the original, the OG, is so much better. Sorry, guys. A song you skip every time it comes on. This is easy too. Beth by Kiss. Listen, I actually like the song, but when your name is Beth, everyone and their mother sang it to you growing up. It's just weird at this point. It's been overdone in my personal space. So skip. No thanks. Who's your favorite artist or band right now? Wow. I don't really have current favorites or even favorites, I think. My heart's always going to be in that 70s classic rock era. And please don't come at me with this. 90s is classic rock talk. Pearl Jam's great, but that's the Seattle grunge scene, okay? It's its own thing. It's not the 70s classic rock. Get the fuck out of here with that. Like, seriously, I used to listen to a station, Q107, 25, 30, 35 years ago. They played classic rock, Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and all of that kind of stuff. And now Q107 plays Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and all that kind of stuff. And they are still calling themselves classic rock. And I'm saying no. Just stop it with that nonsense, okay? What's your guilty pleasures song? Okay. Hook by Blues Traveler. It's just catchy. All right, don't judge me. What's the most unusual or unexpected song you love? Okay, this could I don't know. Don't judge me again, but Never Like This by Jonathan Singletary. And no, I'm not telling you why. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. What song would you choose as the soundtrack to your life right now? This is also easy. Wishing by ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. It just fits the current frequency of everything I've got on the go. And I'm attaching it to a recent memory from literally on my exact birthday, 50th birthday last year in Los Angeles. I don't know. It's just, it's a thing right now. And the last question that Mark asked is, what songs remind me of specific people? And I kind of touched on that, I think, in the episode called The Soundtrack of Us. Well, kind of a long list, I guess, because my memories are basically indexed by melody. So Mom is Songbird by Eva Cassidy. She loves Eva Cassidy. I like the Fleetwood Mac version as well. I'm sure Mom knows that one too, but it's definitely Eva. For my Aunt Sandy, anything Bon Jovi or 70s rock. She took us to our first concert. I think I was like 12 or 11. I don't know. Skid Row opened. Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi was the main act, and we were on the floor, and we had really great seats, and it was just a good time. I have so many childhood memories of her, a Camaro, good music, and just having fun, which ties into my sister as well. So a lot of those memories obviously attached to Jen. Also anything April Wine or anything from the 80s. My dad, Little Less Conversation by Elvis. He really liked that song. a lot. Sally would be Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty, or basically anything 80s, just like I said in the last episode. And like with Kelly, anything Olivia Newton-John for those performances we put on in her living room. But definitely We Run by Strange Advance. And then, of course, for Nathan, I've mentioned Bobby Caldwell before. Can't Say Goodbye. Reminds me of him because it still is his karaoke song of choice. But Runaway by Jefferson Starship is a big one too. He has a very specific memory of that, and he brought it into our early relationship. And to me, that song just feels like summer. I'm going to totally get like a whole bunch of things popping into my head now, because speaking of summer and relationships, I have to talk about Dave Matthews. Eons ago, I had the most massive crush on that man. Now he just reminds me of my lover. Specifically Angel and When the World Ends. Whenever I hear these songs, let's just say they hit a very specific frequency for me. Anyway, moving on. So my next question is from Evan, and it actually kind of fits perfectly with the no polish vibe of today and all the sacrifices that I've been making for audio quality and everything, just to make sure that those couple of guests that I've had pop in a very unconventional way can be heard. But Evan wants to know how long it takes to do an episode from start to finish. Not just the recording, but the whole process. Evan, I think that people would be surprised to know that a single episode of Unbound typically takes me an average of 6.5 hours for about a 30-minute episode. So if it's longer, it's longer. If it's short, some days, it can be shorter. Some days it takes a little bit longer, a lot of re-records. If there's any issues with my sound or anything like that. But yeah, 6.5 hours on average. And it's a significant investment, in my opinion. I do have a team that helps, sound engineer and people who handle the post-processing and all that kind of stuff. But I'm present for every single meeting. We're together. We're looking at chapters and listening to the clips and making sure the vibe is right. And, even though it's not polished, it kind of is on some level because it needs to be easier to listen to, right? Those first 5 episodes when I first began this podcast, I was in a really crappy studio space and my sound was really bad, and that's gotten better. But yeah, by the time I actually hit publish, I've lived with that one episode for nearly a full work day, right? For most people. And look, I don't want to sound like a greedy bitch here, but that's a massive chunk of my time that I don't get paid for. Plus, I'm paying a team to help me. I had an initial budget set aside for season 1, and because I didn't exceed it, I was able to bring you season 2 and season 3 and these off-script episodes. But the reality is, there's been very little going back into that pot. And I'm not sharing that either to sound sad or pathetic. I'm sharing it just for awareness because you're curious, right? I love doing this because the biggest payoff is helping people. In this economy, especially here in Canada right now with the cost of living and all that stuff, helping others doesn't pay my bills. This is more than just a project for me. And some of you have asked, when I'm moving to video podcasting. I've done a few of those for subscribers, but a bigger studio space for video costs more money. So for now, we're here. And you just have to listen to me instead of looking at my dorky face. I've considered running ads on some or all episodes because honestly, all you'd have to do is listen to an extra 30 seconds of audio and you don't have to do anything else, right? But for now, I'm just completely content with you guys helping by sharing and listening and liking and rating and reviewing. All of these things do help me because they get me more exposure and stuff, which is good for me. Also doesn't pay the bills, but ultimately, the more popular I might become, the easier things might be for me. Anyway, I truly appreciate every follower and every share because I know money's tight for everyone. I really do. Before we wrap up today, I have a question from Dawn that kind of hits on a deeper level. We're going to go into the vault for this one, okay? Dawn wrote in because she remembers me sharing that before season 3 of The Other Side of Quiet released, I sat down with a very small circle of people, my absolute closest friends, and told them everything. Things I kept quiet for a long time while they were there and in my life, and maybe suspected some things or maybe didn't know what the hell was going on with me, but they knew something was wrong. Dawn's question was for Sally. And before I go further, Sally's another one of my friends who moved from across the pond and now has a unique accent of her own as well. Once again, I didn't really notice when the strong one that impressed me so much, the day I met her disappeared, but it did. I still think that accents in general are pretty wild, especially remembering that I have the accent to everyone who I think has an accent. Yeah. Anyway, Dawn, she wants to know if Sally, being one of my longest and deepest friendships, felt any kind of way about me keeping those parts of my past quiet for so long, and if there was any hurt there, or if she just kind of inherently understood why the silence had to be there. And since we're going there, Dawn also wants to know a couple more things. So, I have Sally here with me on the phone. Not going to make you listen to the ringing. Hey, Sally.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm recording a Q&A episode right now, and a listener named Dawn has a really pointed question for you. From previous episodes, she knows that I did that massive truth dump with you before this season launched, and she wants to know, were you pissed, and did it hurt that I kept those specific things quiet for 30-something years, or did you just kind of get it?
Okay, so first part to the question, because that is a massive question. So no, I am not pissed whatsoever.
Okay.
What I felt, though, was it totally sucks that you could not tell me what was going on.
Right.
That's what sucked. And then I was thinking about, okay, well, is it something that I did for you not to be able to reach out and tell me?
No.
But then after listening to you talk, how brave you are to and admit that, I thought it was very courageous and brave. Not pissed whatsoever.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I do. And I'm glad, it was absolutely nothing you did or anybody else did. There was only one person in my life who made me behave that way. And I was protecting everyone else. So.
Yeah, I understand that now. After listening and thinking about it, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Because there's nothing you would do that would keep me from talking to you about anything. So, so I kind of gave you a heads up. She also was wondering if what your first memory was of me way back in the day.
Oh my God. Okay, grade 6, right, Beth? I think that's when we met.
I think it was grade 7. 7. It was Mrs. Johnson's class.
Now.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
You have a better memory than I do.
Yeah.
So my first memory was like, oh my God, this girl is so like me. I'm gonna say it heavier.
Yep.
I knew she was gonna connect with me right away.
Yeah.
I remember the freckles.
Aw.
And the hair.
Yeah.
And that how you welcomed me with arms wide open.
Yeah. So I saw it, I felt like we were both new because I had just come back to grade 7 again because I'd been off for a couple of months. It was Mrs. Johnson's class, right?
I think so.
And it was in a classroom that kind of doubled as a stage, and I guess because she was the music teacher, but there was that wall that closed. But I sat at my desk when I came back, and you were to my left, but kind of facing, because I think the desks were set up so that you were head of the table kind of thing. Yeah. And you were new too. So I felt new even though I had been there before, but you were new, and I remember your long, thick, dark hair.
Right?
Yes. And then the accent, of course.
That's right, which I don't have anymore.
No. And it's funny because in an earlier segment, I actually talked about that. So, yeah, it's funny. So, what's the best memory that you have? If you have one yet. I know we have some big memories. Yeah, me too.
I have so many. I can guarantee you, though, one of my best ones was when you stood up with me. I got married to my best friend.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, that was right there. I have another one, but I'm not wanting to share that on this one.
You can tell me later.
Yeah, I will. For personal reasons, of course.
Nothing to do with the Rippers, or?
No, like I said, there's a lot of amazing times that we have.
Yeah.
A lot of amazing times. And, I found that one was probably the most amazing memory.
Such a good day.
It was such a good day. And the fact that you did the memoriam for our loved ones that are not here anymore, that's what did it for me. So I knew I picked the right person, and you said the right things that, you felt in your heart was the right thing to say at that time. And the fact that my husband and your husband,
the boys,
kind of alike now. Weird. They've kind of bonded. They've got a little bromance going on.
Yeah.
I think is fantastic.
They deal with us, right?
Yeah.
So they know.
Oh, yeah, they sure do. Poor guys.
Alrighty. So that's it. I thank you so much for coming out, and I love you so much.
I love you more than you know.
Alrighty.
All right. Love you.
Love you. Bye. All right. So that's the thing about friendships that span decades, right? They don't just survive silence. You know, they're the reason you finally feel safe enough to break it. So thank you again, Sally. Love you. I think that's a beautiful place to leave it today, whether it's the heavy reality of caring for my mom, the hilarious mystery of Nate's disappearing accent, or even Sally's, or the lifelong safety of a friend like Sally. It all kind of comes back to the same thing, and that's connection, right? We're all just trying to be seen and heard. And sometimes that takes decades, and sometimes it just takes a phone call in the middle of the day. Before I go, just going to bring it up again. Unbound is free. It will always be free, but I have to be honest, it may not be ad-free forever since the production costs are a real thing. If you want to help out, all that info is in the show notes. You can do a one-time or a monthly donation through Coffee. I don't have space for any more subscribers right now, as I really wanted to keep that limited to a small, manageable group. Look at that, another listener question answered. Anyway, it's time to go. I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Unbound Off Script. The script is gone, the chair is empty, and Beth Curry is officially out of here. If you've got something you want her to dive into next time, let us know. Until then, stay curious, stay raw, and keep it unbound. We're out.